two. Down to one. It's Dean. Yes!
This ball is crushed.
MC Cannibal, rap Hannibal. Here to change the game, mainframe, all y'all programmable. Coaching on tracks, balling like a paper like Phil. I'm on BS for real, my rhymes convicting me.
Welcome to the Faithful Fan Show. I'm your host, Tony Cook, joined today by JD. Hey, he's a Charger insider. He's also our combat sports insider, UFC, boxing, all that. We also talk Padres on here. We talk a little bit of everything. I think we also went K-Dot versus Drake one episode.
Yeah, we did. We literally did do that.
Me and JD go hip hop as well. We're just fans of the culture in general. Actually, I wanted to ask you how you feel about Kendrick's new drop in the Super Bowl. You a fan?
Bro, I love it. It's all good. I love that the people just want to keep dragging it back to that beef, and I'm like, it seems like it's over. Like, you guys don't listen to what Kendrick says or the messages that he puts out there. He's like, we done messing with the Canadian. Everything is up right now. I got all eyes on me. So now I'm going to push the agenda I've been trying to push forever. Now I'm trying to bring them words back, and I'm sick of all the partiers. Like, during all that Molly and Percocet, and he went on Future's song, talked about people being addicted to drugs and they're not being cool. On Future's song, you know what I mean? Like, he was doing the death of Molly while everybody was trying to be, oh, I love Molly. Like, he's always had that kind of messaging, so it kind of makes sense. You want the party to die. Yeah. And being in my 30s, I get it. I'm like, man, we can't do this shit forever. I don't like partying Remember how we used to party? We used to just meet up and random. I used to show up to Trevi and turn to my left and be like, what the hell is Tony doing here?
Hey, bro, I can't do it no more, though, man.
You can't. You can eventually get older, you're like, man, I'd much rather have planned, organized events where I can make memories, get my phone out, take the kids around, do stuff with the homies where we got to get a passport. Just going to, the local club on a Tuesday night trying to get at these.
Bro, I'll be sleep.
There's a time and a place for it. I tell people, as soon as you hit around 26, 27, you go start looking around and going, I'm getting tired of this. Even if you're lucky, you can get a new girl every night. You'll still be like, my life is harder because I live like this. You gotta separate it.
JD ain't hung his jersey up yet, so fans, JD is still on the market, right?
I still am, but I honestly, if I say we gonna link and we do, you're lucky because I lie a lot about stuff like that. I don't even want to go out. I told you, once I get home, I hug my dog and turn on some reruns of Martin. It might be up. I ain't trying to go back out.
Oh my God. Okay, so we're getting carried away.
Already.
Hey, we came to talk football. You see JD all charged up. We got one thing in common going into week 2. Cowboys and the Chargers are both 1-0. It's popping, baby. It's popping.
It's a good start. I kind of like, before we get jumping to Chargers, I know you're going to lead me that way. I want to say something nice about your Cowboys. It felt nostalgic. It felt like the good old Cowboys, Zeke getting the touchdown, Dak was making the right plays, CD's out there burning people on routes even if he doesn't get hit. It felt very nostalgic, but I also remember that those nostalgic seasons ended up with not much happening in the playoffs and disappointment. So I'm also a little weary. I still feel like y'all need to get maybe you can do it to the season, get one or two more pieces. You never know. It's a long season. We're at week 1.
Yeah,
we're at week 1.
Week 1. That's where we're at. And
I'm just worried for y'all because I saw the Chargers try the same thing. We kept trying to keep the same crew involved, and I'm like, I don't think it's going to work unless we get a different coach. And it pisses me off to see that damn near the same defense. Go ahead. Lead me into the Chargers.
Yes, no, if we're going to get to the Chargers, obviously. and Jim Harbaugh, that's a big addition for the team, as we can see in week 1. He's focused on the run. He's trying to run the football. And I know you'd love to see that. I know you'd love to see some consistency in the run. But before we get to Chargers, I wanted to ask you, is there anything else in the NFL atmosphere? Because we haven't talked since, I want to say, last NFL season about NFL stuff. So,
well, you know me, I test the temperature of different fan bases. I always want to know what other people are thinking. Like, I'm a Padre fan, but I follow a Dodgers page. People be like, oh, you out there trolling? I'm like, no, it just makes me feel better when we lose to go see a team with really high expectations be mad when they win. like we didn't do enough. How the hell is Shohei 0 for 5 today? I'm like, y'all won 7-3. Like, the expectations will rob the joy a lot, but to be in that that position of expectation is also a really big deal. You know what I mean? So I kind of like the positioning of those kind of people. But when it comes to the NFL right now, so I got my little buddy walking by. Go ahead, man. Go ahead. But what you got? The NFL right now, the storylines that I'm seeing that was the biggest one that I was very surprised it was gonna be that big was Russ versus Justin Fields in Pittsburgh. And I watched that game and I thought Justin Fields did a pretty good job, but I told you I like to test the fan bases. The fan bases is where you're gonna hear the real nitty gritty. You know what I mean? Like people talk smack on Cowboy fans, but I'm like, you'll never find a Cowboy fan that doesn't talk to the Cowboy fans bad as the Cowboy fans talk about the Cowboy fans.
Exactly.
Like you guys are literally your number one worst enemy when you start losing. The people are just jumping on top of you. You know what I mean? And watching the Steelers win and still be like, I don't like Justin out there. It didn't make me feel good. I'm like, isn't Russ like the same thing except a little older? Like for me, from an outside. Go ahead.
I would say Justin Fields brings a little more on foot than Wilson at this point too. Like, and they're about the same when it comes to like throwing the football, I'd say. I mean,
the height, it feels like they're the same exact height, same again. Their game is very similar. The arm strength, I feel like it's right around the same. Like they're not going to throw it out the stadium, but they can get the ball to where it needs to be. I'm just saying you got two guys with very similar skill sets, and you got one that just got treated badly in a place like Chicago. Like he's got to feel how Philip Rivers felt watching them sign up all these free agents. It didn't work out, but they were spending money right when Philip left, and he's like, "Now y'all want to spend some money and get a line and go get a defense and all this and that." But I like that it didn't work because then it proved even if we did that with Philip, just throwing money at a situation doesn't help it. You know what I mean? Yeah. But watching Justin Fields get off, and he wins the same way that he was winning in Chicago, nitty gritty. He finds a way. And if I look at Russ and the way he plays, when he usually wins, it's not because he's just dominating folks. He finds a way within his game. If he has to run it, if he has to throw it, if he's got to give it to the running backs option.
And a lot of that is, I would say, Tomlin, the coach, as well, because Tomlin, he's a little different. Like he can win with a so-so quarterback. He did it last year with Kenny. What's his name? Kenny Pickett.
Kenny Pickett, yeah.
Yeah, and he's worse than Justin Fields and Wilson, I would say. So
exactly. So
you already know he's gonna get He's gonna get him 8 wins and maybe get to the playoffs.
I feel like this is just a situation that's ready to bubble over, and I feel like the best thing for Justin, like you just won, and a majority of the fan base still isn't happy because of the way that you won. And an outsider like me is like, what did he do wrong? He won the game. You know what I mean? Justin Herbert just won with 140 yards. I'm happy. You know what I mean? What's the problem with if you get the win, you get the win. And now I'm looking at the segue Miami situation with Tua. I feel like Justin is a perfect fit to just go over there. I feel like Miami should get up the book right now, get that trade going, and switch it up with Miami, and that'll be the perfect place. Either him or Tannehill would be the perfect fit in Miami for me because I don't want to see Tua play anymore.
Yeah, that's sad. Like I hate to see it, and I thought we were past it because he was having a good little season up to this point.
What happened to the jiu-jitsu he did? He said he did jiu-jitsu to learn how to not land on his head the wrong way. Everything he does is head first.
Dude, he slammed his head into the safety. I don't know if you saw
No, I saw it right into his arm, right? But it's like it's a spot that gives, and it's like, why are you leading with your head? And also, if you're gonna lead with your head, at least put it straight down so you'll be the one causing the damage. He turned it sideways, put it right where he could get hurt. I didn't like that at all, man. I'm like, that's 5 concussions in 3 years.
Yeah, it's cooked for him, honestly. He probably needs to get off the field. And
people said he could play this week. I'm like, are you out of your mind?
I'm good. Yeah.
Like, you don't want to tell a player with the
came back. I was shocked when he came back. I thought he was done off the first.
Exactly. And it's also this, and I hate to say this too. I was in the group chat with my guys, and they were like, no, you're making a good point. People will say you're out of pocket, but you're making a good point. You ever notice that whenever Tua throws 3 interceptions, he gets injured? I'm not saying he did it on purpose. I don't know whether it's I'm losing bad and playing bad, so I'm gonna be more reckless and try to prove a point.
Maybe he's trying to do too much.
Yes, and that's the thing. You play in Miami; those are gonna be games like that. And if that's the way you react to having games like that, then you're a danger to yourself and you're a danger to the program too because they can't rely on you. And that's the part that people don't want to talk about. But I'm an outsider.
I would say he probably shouldn't run the football no more, like at all. If he's ever going to get back on the field, I wouldn't put him back on the field. But
Mhm.
as a coach in my offense, Tua is not running the football if he's quarterback because that's scary, dude.
Well, and on top of that too, I also saw, I can't remember what NFL player it was, and he said this, but these are the same fan base that gets mad if a quarterback doesn't lower his head and get that one extra yard. It ends up being 4th and 1.
Yeah,
And I said, I don't know if that's true.
it's not true.
If I see if I see my quarterback slide and barely miss the first down because he misjudged it, I'll be like, that's just the way the ball rolls sometimes. He tried to get there. I don't want to see him lower his head and take on, you know what I mean, Max Crosby head to head trying to get in there because
never want to see my quarterback lower his head because there's not even just the head. You could dislocate your shoulder. You could break your collar. Like there's a bunch of stuff.
you wouldn't want to see a running back run into somebody like that.
Exactly, dude.
Like
Exactly.
running backs keep their head, you know how they get it, keep their heads up, and then when they see it coming, they tuck their head in because it's just like fighting. If you're sticking your head all out like that, it gives more room for the wiggle of the brain. If you tuck it in, then you're gonna be fine. And it just seems like when he gets down, he loses all of that cognitive, ability to protect himself. That whatever that fight or flight is to protect your well-being, he goes, I just threw my 3rd interception. I gotta get this back. And I'm like, it's the Bills. Shut it up and come back next time. You got another game. It's a bad day. Like, he did.
Miami, it's a lot of turbulence going on for the first couple of weeks of the season, man. A lot of turbulence. But we got to get to these Chargers, bro. We got to get to last week's game. I mentioned we're both 1-1.
Yes, sir.
I talked about the Cowboys with my buddy Juan. You talked to Juan before.
Yeah, well, yeah, I like you. New York guy, right?
Yep, New York guy. Talked about the Cowboys W's, but we're gonna get to the Raiders versus the Chargers. I thought that was a good matchup. See, the real thing, I thought Chargers were okay because as soon as I saw Herbert is back, I didn't think he'd be back for game 1. I was shocked.
Well, there was a lot of mystery around his injury. People were saying it was plantar fasciitis. I hate saying that word. I remember when Antonio Gates had it, he kept playing, but he wasn't 100%. We could see it. It wasn't like Tony.
Right? So that's
It wasn't like Antonio Gates was fast before that. He was, he was slick. He's not the fastest guy, but he is smooth. And then we could see that he lost a step, and then he became just like every other tight end that was slower. So, but we're like, Justin Herbert isn't really a guy that runs a lot. And we got to see him running that game, and we're like, it looks about the same. So he's fine. He said it wasn't really that, but it was a personal injury, and he didn't want to talk about it. And I like Justin. He's not in everybody's faces. He's a humble dude. And Jim is going to be his mouthpiece. Jim is going to be his mouthpiece because he don't talk. He's introverted. You know what I mean? Yes. So I kind of like to see that he had an injury, and he was like, well, we're going to keep this in-house. We're fine. I'll be there week 1. And that's how I pulled off. So to see him come out felt very good. And maybe that's the reason why they weren't letting him fling it. But honestly, looking at the game plan and how the game played out, it seems like we're just going to start grinding dudes until they fall at our will. It was the first half, we looked like crap. We looked like total crap. Nothing was working. All of our runs were about like 2 yards, 3 yards. And I'm like, so this is the new era? I'm like, when the Ravens do this, they got Lamar, so they got that option, so they can really get around and go do something. I'm like, Justin Herbert can't even freaking run right now. He ain't got no legs, so I don't understand how this is going to work. And plus, we don't know J.K. Dobbins. Yep. We don't know Gus Edwards. We don't know him like those guys like that. So for as far as the familiarity as a fan, we're like, we don't know what these guys are. We saw them in preseason, but preseason isn't real. Yep. So to finally see them get down, it was like watching other teams beat us. This is how teams used to beat us. If you can keep the ball out of our hand, keep running the ball, and eventually beat up our line, it's going to look good down the road. And in the first half, I ain't going to lie, they had us. They was doing stunts and everything. But by the time we got to the second half, Joe Alt and Slater, oh, my God, our outside is secure. Our inside needs help.
So our inside needs help. So Slater's still left, and they got Joe Alt on the right.
And Joe Alt, 11 pressures from Max Crosby, 11 pass attempts, nothing. No pressures, no nothing.
Against
held
Crosby.
him in check. And against Wilkins, too. Altogether, 14-0. The only time he got mixed up was on run block, and I'm like, you can fix that later because you see him on the run block, and you're like, fuck it, we don't need to go to his side. We went to the left. Dobbins went to the left 2 times and got almost 100 yards on 2 runs. So if he needs to work What's
I
that?
can't. Let me stop. I can't remember who the backfield was last year for you guys. Who'd you guys have in the backfield?
Eckler.
What? Okay, and now Eckler is with Washington. Now,
Washington.
but
Again,
that
we had Eckler and we had Spiller and we had
that's right. You had Eckler still. You're right. You had Eckler still. But
we had a couple guys that just weren't working out.
he was dealing with an ankle injury all season though, wasn't he? Like,
But he's not a running back. Did you hear what he said? His comments were, why didn't you restructure and stay to be part of the new LA Chargers? And he said they want a guy to carry the ball 30 to 40 times a game. I'm like, aren't you a running back?
I saw that.
I'm like, it
no,
proved
sir.
the point that we don't have a real running back. We had a guy that they're like, oh, he's a check down merchant. We're like, that's all Eckler likes to do. When you hand him the ball and want him to run, he doesn't like that because if you get him out in space, he's really, really hard to deal with. If you try to tackle him right before the play even starts with our offensive line the way it was, he didn't have as much success. So see him in Washington now, I'm like, cool. He's in a system where he has a quarterback that's fast and he ain't got to run all the damn time, and that's going to work out.
But now y'all got two guys that get downhill and Gus Edwards. Y'all got the Ravens old backfield. So
yeah, and JK was a question. We knew he was injured, right? Remember in our group chat, they were like, oh, you got JK. I forgot he was even in the league. He was a beast with the Ravens, and then he got hurt, and I forgot about him. I'm like, yeah, we kind of have him checked as we'll see. We'll see. After the first game, I'm like, okay, so as long as he stays healthy, he's going to be a problem. Gus didn't have that great of a game, but I noticed that if we had a 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, he could get it. Yep. We couldn't get that with Eckler. Eckler failed, like I could think of like at least a handful, 5 or 6 times where Eckler couldn't get 1 yard. Yeah. And that bothered me. It really made me mad.
Gus Edwards is a big boy, though. That's a big dude.
Exactly. He doesn't have his game. If you look at the stat sheet, it didn't look like he did much. But if you see how many first downs he was a part of and the way that he was blocking, I'm like, we're building a hard-nosed football team right now. And Jim, I'm sorry, I used to watch the 49ers and said, man, I'd hate if my team played like that, but they always win. Now I'm seeing it. I'm like, he's trying to turn this into the 49ers, but instead of Colin Kaepernick, you got Justin Herbert. And I think if with that switch off, we could actually do something. We could actually make some noise. I think this is the perfect team built to beat the Chiefs.
And it's a good way to ease Justin Herbert back from his.
No, when he played Miami, he threw. Remember the time he played Miami and he beat Tua in LA, and it was a big deal because all that speculation was around him. He threw almost 56 times that game.
And that's a lot.
You know what I mean? This last week, he barely got over 20.
I saw that. I'm like, that's not normal for Herbert.
But the thing is, he's still close to around 50, over 50% passing percentage. The numbers are still around Justin Herbert type of numbers. And he got that sick Ladd McConkey because, oh, I like Ladd. We got ourselves a little Wes Welker over there, man. When I saw him catch that ball, I'm thinking, oh, he might fall forward for the first down. He said, into the end zone. I'm like, okay, we got our slot receiver. All we need, I hate saying this again, and it really makes me sad because he got 1 year. This is his audition. Quentin Johnston, he dropped a couple of balls that weren't easy. So I can't really like jump on him on that. Going out of bounds while someone's pushing you while you're trying to keep your feet in, that's a tough catch. That's a Keenan Allen catch, and Keenan dropped one of those with the Bears. So I can't even knock Quentin. But all the drops that he had, he didn't have as many as people thought he had. He just had very bad ones and clutch moments that everybody noticed. So we're seeing him catch with his hands. He's not catching with his body. If he could seize the number, he is the number 1 wide receiver. He just hasn't seized it yet. Yeah. He's the size for it. We can't have Joshua Palmer at his shortness being the number 1. This is LA Chargers, but it's the San Diego Chargers. What do they always have? A gigantic wide receiver. We always need someone, Mike Williams, Vincent Jackson.
In game one, did he do, because his numbers wise, it looked decent.
No, his yak ability is out of control. He just needs to catch the ball first. And that's the thing about it.
He had 3 drops in this game. You're saying in this past game
I think he had 2 drops, and one of them was I think both of them were they were hard ones to catch, and it was the Raiders were blitzing a lot. They were coming, and they were getting up the middle, so Justin Herbert had to slide off and then throw it. I don't know. Ladd dropped one. A lot of people drop different passes, but he has a history of it, and so he's going to get more scrutinized.
Exactly.
So I like what I've seen out of him. He looks better than he did last year. I'm just saying, if he doesn't do good this year, I would not be surprised if we go draft a wide receiver in the
Oh,
first
y'all
round.
definitely drafting a wide receiver.
Or go trade for one. Like I'm seeing people saying that what's his name? Old boy on the Bengals that's unhappy. They're saying he can end up being a yeah, they say, oh yeah, go get him. But I'm like,
Herbert is nasty.
At the same time, the way that our system plays, I think it's not a good idea to go pay a top wide receiver with the way that John Harbaugh plays, because it's like looking at Justin Herbert now, he threw the ball, 15, 18 times, and we're paying him almost $200 million.
That's true.
If you're gonna pay the wide receivers, it's gotta be, I'd rather it be guys that fit the system. Be like the Chiefs are right now. Get a bunch of young guys, and if they don't pull their weight, then they out of here. Because we got to pay the big dog.
Yep.
You know how it is.
So I know how it is, JD, and the Chargers got the W over the Raiders. Good W. They're struggling over there too. So y'all's division behind the Chiefs is kind of wide open for that wild. What you think? What you think, JD, after week 1? Have we got any wild predictions?
I feel like we look more like the Chiefs looked last year than we look like how the Chargers looked last year. It's a team that's going to find a way to win off of the sample of one game. But I also am calming myself down because it is one game where we looked very bad in the first half and the exact opposite in the second half. And I think that's will. I think that's putting pressure. Like, remember those old Ravens, those old Steelers in the early 2000s, those Jets defenses? Absolutely. This is the same defensive core. It's not new. You know what I mean? We got rid of Kendricks.
He's
balling, right?
Balling.
He's a system guy. I liked him. He just was part of a defense that couldn't hold him.
About Zimmer. He used to play with the Vikings and Zimmer. So,
when he was at the Chargers, I feel so bad for him because he came at the worst time, and also the defense was so bad. Like I told you, the Chargers defense would do amazing things and then go give up a 3rd and 17. It made no sense. It really made no sense. And Kendricks was one of those guys where I was like, he's everywhere, but it looks like he's having a bad season because of how bad the defense is. So when you guys got him, I'm like, ooh, with the defense is already top notch, he's going to be special. I called it.
He was a big upgrade for us at the linebacker position. But we're going to jump to the Chargers next. Who do y'all play before we get to the Cowboys next matchup? Who do the Chargers play next?
Carolina Panthers.
Ooh, I forgot about that because I picked up J.K. Dobbins off the waiver wire on my fantasy. And I was like, they play Carolina. He's in the starting lineup. I don't care.
Yeah, but I also feel like that's a trap. I feel like Jim Harbaugh is weird, and I like it. It's a good weird.
Okay.
It's a fired up weird. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not sure who the Chargers are. Everyone said they found their identity. I'm like, it's one game. I keep telling you, it's one game.
The running the running backs you guys acquired. You guys are run first offense this year after watching that game.
Remember when the 49ers would lose, it would usually be a situation where they're playing a stout defense. The Jim Harbaugh 49ers, let me prefix that so people know I'm not just throwing them out there with Purdy and stuff. I'm talking about the Colin Kaepernick, the ones that went to the Super Bowl. When he had games where he had to throw a lot, they still found a way to win, but they had to do like a little slight adjustment because he's not a natural passer like a Brady or a Manning or any of those guys. Justin Herbert is that. So I say that one day that once we lock down this identity of a power rushing team.
You want him to prove it.
No. Listen, I feel like it's the greatest duck and switch ever because when you had Kaepernick doing it, he couldn't get all the throws out there. He was limited. I'm not going to lie to you. He didn't have the best pass packages, but his ability to be able to run and do the pump fake and still get that in there, very Lamar-like. Lamar's a little better at it. Justin Herbert can stay in the pocket to deliver with any of the best of them. So once they become a rushing team, that everybody has to, if we don't lock down Dobbins, if we don't lock down Slater in that side, they're going to run all over us. That's going to open up crazy play action, and he has a better arm than Kaepernick ever did. So I could see him still hitting those 300-yard, 400-yard games. It's just going to be up to what the defense gives us. You know what I mean? I feel like if we were playing Dallas, we running. We ain't throwing against all them damn DBs. You're out of your damn mind. We're going to take our chances up there in the front, and we're going to see what we can do. If we're playing a team like Kansas City, I'll be like, maybe we will test some of those young guys out there. Let's just run it down their throat until they're ready for it. And as soon as they run crazy, but we're talking about the offense too much. The defense. Khalil Mack and Bosa, I'm sorry, when they're on the field together, there's no better pass rush duo in everybody. I feel like we got the better Bosa. I feel like we got the better.
Hot take. Hot take. Hot take.
Bro, you gotta watch the film. Like, I feel bad for Gardner. I feel bad. I mean, these are two guys that took a pay cut just so they could play for Jim Harbaugh. Mike Williams wouldn't take a pay cut. Keenan Allen wouldn't take a pay cut. Eckler wanted big money and went to Washington because he didn't have to run the ball. These guys took a pay cut to stay with this because they knew what they were building. They knew that this defense wasn't as bad as it was playing. And we finally got to see that. They actually locked down, Devontae. He only had like 50-something yards, and he was hyped. He was talking smack before the game. He was mad about Chargers social media team making him a garbage Pop-Tart. He was mad about that. He was talking smack. He still couldn't get nothing done. Gardner, I felt Minshew he's a beast. I like him, but it's the worst quarterback situation in all the NFL right now, being with the Raiders. Man, and I like Pierce, but sorry, man, y'all gonna have to be number 4 or number 3. We'll see what happens with Denver. I think Bo Nix is kind of whack too.
Yeah, I think the hype around Bo Nix was a preseason deal. I feel like the Broncos will still be the worst team of that division, I would say. Personally.
Like, bro, he's older than Justin Herbert. Herbert handed off the job to him, and he was older than him. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's weird to me. I don't know. He's been those guys and the guy, what is it, Stetson, the one on the Rams.
Yeah,
those guys that spend 7 years in college. That's always a little bit. I don't know what the rules are like.
The way Bo Nix took the job, what's his name? Sean Payton gave him the job from the rip, so that means he was definitely playing well.
Coach's confidence will make me feel a little something. That's why what you call it? Brissett.
Yeah.
Who's he playing for? I forget right now. I was watching that game.
The Patriots.
The Patriots, yeah. When they beat the Bengals. I'm like, yeah, who I've seen him play on the Colts, and I've seen him. I'm like, he is always a good enough quarterback to get some wins. When this franchise has faith in a certain person and they put him out there, I feel like everybody else kind of just follows suits and been like, well, he wasn't supposed to be the starter. He must have did something great during practice for us to put him up there. So I don't know. Going back to the Chargers and how everything is going with them.
Oh yeah, no, that's what I wanted to ask you about the Chargers. I wanted to the Chargers versus Carolina. Mm-hmm. Can we get a score prediction? Can we jump?
People think there's going to be some crazy blowout.
It's a dub, right? It's a dub.
I can see 24-10. I see it being similar to the Raider game.
Okay.
Except we're going to know who we are earlier. And when you run the ball well, you can run the clock down and games are quicker. So the stats aren't going to be as high. And seeing how they got demolished last week, I still think Bryce is good. He's going to no matter how bad your team is, they're going to have a game where they perform.
Yeah.
And week 1 is not a good test to be like, this team's going to be horrible all year. Unless they're the Raiders. But Carolina. But no, Carolina
fans out there.
Hey, Carolina has a good young quarterback. I feel like they're in a Miami position where they could have had CJ, and they skipped on it, and now they have to sit there with buyer's remorse. Because I'm sorry, Miami. You wanted Justin Herbert. You wanted him after you saw that, and not to knock Tua because he's always hurt and stuff. I'm just saying that. Buyer's remorse is real. So, but I still think CJ is going to be, not CJ, Bryce is a great quarterback. I think he's going to have his moments. I just don't see any way of them winning this game. Knock on wood, because that's famous last words. But week 1, I don't think it's fair to judge them as the worst team in the NFL. They just had the worst week 1 performance.
But if they let y'all hang another 40 on them, they will definitely be.
Oh yeah.
The race right now for worst team in the NFL is probably between them and the Giants. Sorry to say it, Giants. I know we're division,
I look at neighbors. I'm like, I'm sorry, man. I was mad and wanted you, but Joe Alt handled business, man. That's generational. Like, I didn't want it until I saw
years of protection. That's at least 10 years of protection right there, and you got Slater on the other side. So
we got our left and right tackles set for the whole Justin Herbert era. Now all we got to do is build that inside, and they're gonna do that. Like, seeing the way he builds this roster. Like, our backups aren't a bunch of skill guys. They're linemen. He's using his extra spots on linemen and making sure that they're ready to go so we don't have problems like how we had last year. The problem is Lindsey, our center that's always been there with Herbert since the beginning, he had a heart problem. So he retired. But it gave us more cap room. It gave us a lot more cap room, but we used that to build the team. But as far as like our interior O-line, it can do some work. We got elite on the outside. We got moderate in the middle. And when Wilkins and Crosby were getting off at the beginning, they're going to be a problem. Miami's silly for letting Wilkins go.
They'll start moving their pass rushes right to the middle, and they'll be rushing through the A and B gaps. You know what I'm saying?
I was a hater. I'm like, nah, leave Crosby on him. But I was like, but if you're a coach, why would you? Okay, Joe Alt's doing good. Let's do some stuff to get some stunts. And when Crosby was going through the middle, they were eating us alive.
That's what the coaches are going to do, just to get some heat somewhere. Because if it's locked down on the outside, why keep running up against a brick wall? You know what I'm saying? But hey, we've talked enough Chargers. You've got your Charger work off. You got it off, dog. We got you. Y'all going to win by probably 15, 20 points this week.
We'll see.
We'll see. Like you said, it could be a trap game. But before we get out of here, JD, I want to talk about the Cowboys matchup. And it's against the New Orleans Saints, the team who just waxed the Carolina. So we're playing the team that beat the team you played by like 30 points last week.
Yeah.
I'm
gonna say I liked Derek Carr when the Raiders got rid of him. I'm like, you guys will be a poverty franchise forever. You guys make the dumbest freaking moves. I'm like, that's the first quarterback that gave us problems since Rich Gannon.
Yeah.
Okay. Like everybody you got after that was all trash. Every single Raider quarterback that showed up was trash since maybe back to that time where you had Rich Gannon and you were going to Super Bowl. And he was the first one that loved being in your franchise, grew up rooting for your franchise, and y'all went and packed him up and sent him to New Orleans because you didn't want to pay him because you didn't think he was your future. And now the Raiders are ranked as the worst quarterback situation in the NFL, which is crazy because the Giants exist.
with Danny Dimes.
You know what I mean? So
but honestly, like, so we're playing Derek Carr and the Saints, and I'm excited because I want a good little test. I don't think they're that 42-10 win. I don't know what they won by. It was some crazy like that, crazy score. But I don't think that win means that they're like top tier NFL. I think they're right where we are right now.
I think it's going to be even matchup.
Exactly. A team that got a W riding into week 2 with some confidence. Like it'd be like us playing you guys. I want to play a team with the same level of confidence we got. So it's not, I don't want to beat up on some, like y'all about to beat up on the Carolina Panthers. Like,
don't say that, nigga.
Oh, I know, but it's not my team, so I don't feel the.
I'm a Charger fan. I'm
not gonna win. I keep saying that, but I'm not a Charger fan, so I'm not.
Cowboys about to smack them. They're not gonna score 1 point. You put that bad juju on me, brother. Nah, but what I will say about the Saints is that you guys have how the Cowboys defense has a million ways to hurt you. I also think the Saints offense has a million ways to hurt you because you could be like your defense is gonna have to. I feel like all those guys, Diggs and all those guys out there, are going to have to communicate with each other because whether it's Carr that walks out or Taysom Hill that comes out or Amara lines up in the back, Alvin Kamara lines up, they got so many different ways to get you. And it seems like last year they had to figure it out. Yesterday, last week, everything worked. Yeah. You know what I mean? It worked great for them. And Derek Carr has a good arm.
They have a lot of weapons and like you said, Kamara goes to the outside. They put this other dude named Shaheed in the back. He's a receiver, but
he can run option.
And he's a running back. So they put him in the backfield. They have him on jet sweeps. They have Olave out there on the outside, little quick route runner, real good, can make it hard for long, lengthy corners that we have, like Trayvon Diggs.
Yes.
We have a good secondary, but we have a rookie out there because Bland is out for the next 4 weeks or whatever. Our other starting corner, he's out. So we have a rookie named Carson out there.
Okay,
he's good. He's a good.
They got shot callers out there. He'll be okay.
And he had a good game against Amari Cooper last week, so he has some confidence.
I just feel like they're gonna have to be on their star player. If I had to make a prediction right now on the game, I couldn't tell you the score, but I feel like it'll be a close game where Cowboy wins by 1 possession.
1 possession, okay.
Either 3 or 7.
I like that. So. It's going to be close because we have an injury in a tricky spot at defensive end. Marshawn Nealon, another rookie who played he's basically because Micah Parsons plays linebacker / D end. He basically for the passing downs, he's on the edge. But a lot of the other times he's everywhere. And our base end is out And so, and we got some.
And they burn those corners when they get Hill in there. They like to run that option.
So
and
if we can't set the edge, it might be a long day if Kamara can run the football on the outside, because Kamara's a good running back. So
that's what I said. They got a lot of weapons back there, and it's confusing how they use them. So I would like to, if there's any defense that has the tools to catch the Saints, it would be your defense.
Yes, and we have some rising stars at linebacker as well. Like not just Kendricks. We talked about Kendricks earlier. He's a baller. He's going to be out there. So our second level is locked. Demarion Overshow, number 13, dog from Texas. I'm
gonna have to watch it. It looks like an intriguing game from the outside.
Injured last year, DeMarvin Overshown, but he's the other linebacker out there, and he looks flashy out there. He's fast. He's hitting. So our second level might save us. It was one game, so I don't want to get excited, but I think we get out of here 24. Let's go 24-14.
Okay.
I don't got them to score more than 2 touchdowns. Corey.
Right. Okay. Hey, here's the question though. Here's the big one though.
Wait, hold up. Corey Schuler, he's a Saints fan. Hey.
Oh, Corey.
Always scored 2 touchdowns, Corey. Let's go.
Hey, don't be surprised. If Taysom Hill has more than 1 touchdown, you guys have an issue.
Taysom.
That's it. Because if he's getting busy, that means all their trick plays are getting off. And you guys have to be able to read it. It's going to be a chess match. I don't think it's going to be who's the bigger and badder is going to win. It's going to be who's the smarter and who makes the right plays. Coaching game. Because the skill on both sides are very even. Yeah. As far as the Saints defense, I was surprised. I'm like, they're doing good. Who are these guys? But
if the Cowboys can run the ball effectively in the first half and get up, this is every team in the NFL. This is like, coaching 101. But if we can run the ball in the first half and get a lead, start off with a lead, get a lead, don't get behind, we'll win the football game easily, because our defense is good enough to where if they got to start passing the ball for real, our pass rush, like Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, is too much. It's too crazy. Like, so
we'll have to see. How do you feel about the division? I saw the Eagles. They look good good.
Don't talk about Saquon Barkley. I don't want to hear it right now, JD.
I'm sorry for him to go, because he just made it's like the Giants used to be kind of a problem because of him, and now they took the main issue, and moved it to the team that is the real big problem with the Eagles.
They're a big problem. The Eagles are a big problem, and I don't want to talk about it. But one thing that they're
coming. They're right there.
Thing about Saquon is, and I hate to say this, but he don't usually play all season. And
you got the Tua problem, except the
thing is, they don't got to lean on him because they got a lot of weapons, so they can use them how they want to. But JD, we got to get out of here. We're running out of time. I want your last words. Thank you for joining me and talking this Charger mess and talking this Saquon
my last word
mess. What's
my
your
last word? Would be about fighting.
Okay.
Tonight is the Canelo fight.
Oh, we didn't get to talk about it.
No. We're good. We're good. Because I'm about to say this one thing. And then it's also the UFC in the Sphere in Las Vegas. They're doing that fight with O'Malley and Merab. I want to say this. UFC, MMA was my favorite. It's my favorite sport when it comes to combat. I always loved boxing, but I participated in MMA, and it's a lot easier to watch. And they have events more frequently, and their fighters are forced to fight even if they don't want to. They're doing $20 pay-per-views for boxing, and they said they're going to try to do this going forward to fight piracy. And I'm like,
Rookie in the paint, going hard with the venom. Shot so much, man, I think I need to live. Rookie in the paint, going hard with the venom. Shot so much, man, I think I need to live. Animal, MC Cannibal, rap Hannibal. Here to change the game, mainframe, all y'all programmable. Coaching on tracks, balling like a paper like Phil. I'm obvious and real, my rhymes convict and heal. A world blind, my lines a red pill, real. Ball like I've been here, rookie in his prime. Focus like Jordan the second time. Kobe in playoff times, you know believe when I drive. Call for it, Kelly go in the Blizo spit. Auto like free throws by Hito. Circle loose stroke magic. Rhymes over all y'all like Dirk for 2. Rookie in the game, insane, coming for you. GGB